When my partner finally told me the truth, I said nothing. No anger, no questions, no drama. That silence changed the power dynamic completely, and what happened next wasn't what either of us expected at that moment. I need to tell you something, and I need you to just listen. I looked up from my laptop. Her hands were shaking. I closed the screen without saying a word. She sat down across from me at the kitchen table, and I could see the rehearsed speech dying in her throat because I wasn't reacting the way she'd planned. I just waited. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, like the walls were paying attention too. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. I'm 32, been with Claire for 4 years, living together for 2. We'd built what I thought was a solid life. I've been seeing someone else, she said, and her voice cracked on the last word. I nodded once. She blinked, confused by my lack of explosion. Did you hear me? I heard you. My voice came out flat, neutral, like I was confirming a dinner reservation. She waited for me to yell, to demand details, to crumble. I did none of those things. I just looked at her, really looked at her, and saw a stranger wearing my girlfriend's face. How long? I finally asked. 3 months. I nodded again, processing the math. 3 months meant it started around the time she joined that new gym. 3 months of lying every single day. Are you going to say anything else? She asked, and I could hear the frustration creeping in. What would you like me to say? She actually looked angry now, like I was ruining her confession. I don't know, get mad, ask me why something. Would it change anything? That stopped her. She opened her mouth, closed it, tried again. I thought you'd at least want to know who it is. Does it matter? It might. Then I don't want to know. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass of water. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I felt absolutely nothing, and that absence of feeling was its own kind of power. Claire followed me, hovering in the doorway. Say something real, she demanded. I am. No, you're doing this thing where you shut down, and it's not fair. I almost laughed at that. Not fair. She was talking to me about fairness. What do you want from me right now? I asked, genuinely curious. I want you to react like a normal person. I am reacting. No, you're not. You're just standing there like I told you the weather forecast. I took a sip of water, let the silence stretch. She was the one who looked away first. I'm going to stay at my sister's tonight, she said. Okay. That's it. Just okay. What else should I say? She grabbed her purse from the counter, shoved her phone in her pocket. I'll come back tomorrow, and we can actually talk about this. If you want. She stared at me for a long moment, and I could see the panic starting to set in behind her eyes. This wasn't going according to whatever script she'd written in her head. The door closed behind her with a soft click, not a slam. I stood in the kitchen for another 10 minutes, just breathing. Then I went back to the table, opened my laptop, and finished the work email I'd been writing. The next morning, I woke up at 6 like always. Made coffee, went for a run, showered, got dressed. I moved through my routine like nothing had changed because in a weird way, nothing had. The truth had just finally caught up with what I'd been feeling for months. Claire came back around noon. I was reading on the couch when she let herself in. She looked like she hadn't slept. Hey, she said softly. Hey. She sat down on the opposite end of the couch, leaving the middle cushion empty between us. I talked to my sister last night. I turned a page. She thinks I'm making a huge mistake. Are you? I don't know. That's why I'm here. I need you to help me figure this out. I closed my book, marked my place. You want me to help you decide whether to stay with me or leave me for someone else. It's not that simple. It actually is. She pulled her knees up to her chest, made herself smaller. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. No, you're punishing me by not caring. I'm not punishing you, Claire. I just don't have the energy to care anymore. That landed harder than any yelling would have. Her eyes filled with tears. When did you stop caring? I don't know. Maybe around the same time you started lying to me every day. I didn't lie every day. Yes, you did. Every morning you woke up next to me. Every time you said you loved me. Every time you came home from seeing him and let me kiss you. Those were all lies. She was crying now, actually crying. I do love you. Maybe you do, but not enough. That's not fair. There's that word again. I stood up, walked to the window. The street below was busy, people going about their lives, completely unaware that mine was quietly imploding. His name is Trevor, she said behind me. I told you I didn't want to know. Well, now you do. He's a trainer at the gym. I didn't turn around. Does he know about me? Yes. And he's okay with it. She didn't answer right away. He wants me to leave you. Then leave. Just like that. Just like that. I heard her stand up, footsteps coming closer. Why won't you fight for me? I finally turned to face her. Because you're not fighting for me. You're fighting with yourself, and you want me to make it easier by playing the villain. That's not true, isn't it? You want me to scream and beg so you can feel justified in leaving. You want the big dramatic fight so you can tell yourself and everyone else that we were broken anyway. She shook her head, but she couldn't hold my gaze. I made a mistake. No, a mistake is forgetting to buy milk. You made a choice, and then you kept making that choice every day for 3 months. I'm trying to be honest with you now. You're trying to feel less guilty. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I came here hoping we could work through this. We can't. How do you know if you won't even try? I walked past her, grabbed my jacket from the hook by the door. I'm going out for a while. When I get back, I'd appreciate it if you'd have decided what you're doing. Where are you going? Does it matter? I left before she could answer. I drove for 2 hours. No destination, just movement. I ended up at a coffee shop 40 minutes from our apartment, sat in a corner booth, and finally let myself feel something. Not anger, not sadness exactly. Just a bone-deep exhaustion with the whole situation. My phone buzzed with texts from Claire. I didn't read them. Around 5, I drove back. The apartment was quiet when I walked in. Some of her things were gone from the bedroom. Not everything. Just enough to make it clear she was halfway out the door. There was a note on the kitchen table. I need more time to think. Staying at my sister's again. Can we talk later this week? I crumpled the note and threw it away. Then I ordered takeout, poured myself a drink, and put on a movie I'd been wanting to watch. The weird thing was how normal it felt. How easy it was to just exist in the space without her. 3 days went by. Claire texted occasionally, nothing substantial. How are you doing? Can we talk soon? I miss you. I responded to maybe half of them, always brief. I'm fine. When you're ready. Okay. On the 4th day, she called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hey, she said, and her voice was different somehow. Smaller. Hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking. Okay. I ended things with Trevor. I waited. Did you hear me? I heard you. I made a terrible mistake, and I want to fix this. I want to fix us. Why? What do you mean why? Why do you want to fix us? Because you feel guilty? Because Trevor didn't work out the way you thought? Because being the bad guy is harder than you expected? Silence on the other end. Because I love you. You loved me 3 months ago too, and it wasn't enough then. That's not fair. Claire, I need you to stop telling me what's not fair. You don't get to make that call anymore. I could hear her crying. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But please, can we just try? Here's the thing, I said, keeping my voice level. When you told me about the affair, I realized something. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't even that hurt. And that scared me more than anything you'd done. What do you mean? I mean, I'd already checked out. I just didn't know it yet. You just confirmed what I was already feeling. That's not true. We were happy. Were we? Or were we just comfortable? She didn't have an answer for that. I think we've been coasting for a while. I continued. I think we both knew it, but neither of us wanted to be the one to say it out loud. So you're saying this is my fault and yours? I'm saying we're not right for each other anymore, and your affair just made it impossible to pretend otherwise. I don't accept that. You don't have to, but it doesn't change anything. So what? You're just giving up? No, I'm accepting reality. More crying on the other end. Can I at least come get the rest of my stuff? Whenever you want. I'll make sure I'm not here. You won't even face me? I am facing you, Claire. I'm just not doing it on your terms. She hung up. I set my phone down and felt nothing. 2 days later, I came home from work to find her key on the kitchen counter and several empty spaces where her things used to be. She'd left behind the coffee maker we bought together and the bookshelf I'd built for her birthday. Small things, but they felt significant somehow. There was another note. I'm sorry for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me. I hope someday you can understand that I did love you. I just got lost along the way. Take care of yourself. I read it twice, then put it in a drawer. Maybe I'd throw it away eventually. Maybe I wouldn't. It didn't feel important either way. Work became my focus. I threw myself into projects I'd been putting off, stayed late, volunteered for assignments no one else wanted. My boss noticed, asked if everything was okay. Yeah, just wanted to stay busy. Relationship problems? Something like that. Well, your timing's good. We've got that client in Denver who needs someone on site for a few weeks. I'll do it. You sure? It's pretty much immediate. I'm sure. I flew out 3 days later. The distance helped. Being in a different city, a different time zone, surrounded by strangers who didn't know my story. I could be whoever I wanted, which turned out to be a simpler version of myself. Work, gym, dinner, sleep, repeat. No drama, no complications. My coworker Rachel asked me to dinner one night, just casual. We talked about the project, about Denver, about everything except our personal lives. It was refreshing. You're not much of a talker, are you? She said, smiling. I talk when I have something to say. Fair enough. Most people talk just to fill the silence. Silence doesn't bother me. I noticed. It's actually kind of nice. We became work friends, nothing more. But those dinners became a regular thing, and I found myself looking forward to them. Not because I was interested in her romantically, but because she didn't need anything from me except present moment company. One night, after a particularly long day, she asked the question I'd been avoiding. So what's your deal? My deal? Yeah, you're out here by yourself, you don't talk about home, you're always available for work drinks. Someone broke your heart. I considered lying, but decided against it. Something like that. Want to talk about it? Not particularly. Fair enough. She didn't push, didn't pry. Just accepted my answer and moved on to talking about her sister's upcoming wedding drama. The project in Denver ended up lasting 6 weeks instead of 3. I didn't mind. Every day that passed, I felt more like myself and less like half of a broken hole. On my last night in Denver, Rachel and the team took me out for drinks. You should transfer out here, Rachel said. We could use someone with your work ethic. Maybe. That's not a no. No, it's not. I'd been thinking about it actually. What was keeping me in my old city anymore? The apartment was just a place. My friends were mostly our friends, which meant they were really Claire's friends who'd been polite to me. My family was 3 states away. There was nothing tying me down except inertia. When I got back, I found 12 unread messages from Claire. The first few were apologetic. The middle ones were angry. The last few were desperate. Please just talk to me. I know you're back from your trip. Your silence is killing me. I deleted them all without responding. Then I called my landlord and asked about breaking the lease. Is everything okay? He asked. Yeah, I just got a job opportunity elsewhere. Well, you've got 2 months left. If you can find someone to take it over, I'll waive the penalty. Deal. I listed the apartment that night. Started boxing up my things the next morning. My phone rang while I was packing books. Claire. I answered. What do you want? Why are you doing this? Doing what? Ignoring me, shutting me out, acting like I never existed. I'm not acting like you never existed. I'm acting like we're over. But we need closure. No, you need closure. I'm already closed. That doesn't even make sense. It makes perfect sense. You want some big final conversation where we hash everything out and find meaning in the pain. I don't need that. So you're just going to walk away? I already did. The night you told me about the affair. Everything since then has just been logistics. I could hear her breathing on the other end, ragged and uneven. I hate you, she said. Okay. I hate that you can just turn it off like this. I didn't turn anything off, Claire. There was nothing left to turn off. That's not true. We had 4 years together. And you threw them away. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life mourning what you killed. You're cruel. I'm practical. She made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. I thought you were different. Different how? I thought you'd fight for me. I thought you'd at least try. Why would I fight for someone who doesn't want to be kept? Silence. I need you to understand something, I said. When you told me about the affair, you expected a certain reaction. You expected me to break down, to beg, to make you feel important even in my pain. And when I didn't give you that, it confused you. It made you question whether what we had was real in the first place. That's not. Let me finish. The truth is, what we had was real, but it was also already dying. We were going through the motions, both of us. You just had the guts to do something about it first, even if that something was terrible. So in a weird way, I should probably thank you. Thank me. For forcing the issue. For making it impossible to keep pretending. You freed us both. I don't feel free. You will. Another long pause. I saw you listed the apartment. Yeah. Where are you going? Does it matter? I guess not. Claire, I hope you find what you're looking for. I really do. But it's not me. It was you for a long time. Maybe. But people change. Yeah, she said quietly. They do. Take care of yourself. You too. She hung up first this time. I stood there with the phone in my hand, surrounded by half-packed boxes, and felt something shift. Not relief exactly, not happiness. Just a sense of completion. The apartment sold within a week. I accepted the transfer to Denver. Gave my 2 weeks notice at my current office and started saying goodbyes. Most people didn't ask too many questions. Fresh start was all the explanation anyone needed. The night before my move, I went back to the apartment one last time. It was empty now, echoing. I walked through each room, not nostalgic, just marking the end. In the bedroom, I found a photo that had fallen behind the dresser. Me and Claire at the beach, 2 years ago. We looked happy. We probably were happy in that moment. I almost threw it away, but instead I put it in my wallet. Not as a reminder of what I'd lost, but as proof that happiness isn't permanent, and that's okay. Everything ends eventually. The trick is not to mourn the ending, but to appreciate that it happened at all. I left the keys on the counter, turned off the lights, and closed the door behind me. The next morning, I loaded up my car and started driving west. No dramatic music, no profound revelations. Just a guy pointing his car toward a new life and putting miles between himself and the old one. Somewhere outside Kansas, my phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. Safe travels. First rounds on me when you get here. I smiled, the first real smile in weeks. Deal? I texted back. The road stretched out ahead of me, endless and full of possibility. Behind me, everything I'd been was getting smaller in the rearview mirror. And for the first time in months, I felt something close to peace. Not because I'd won or because I'd lost, but because I'd finally stopped playing the game altogether. That silence I'd given Claire that first night, it wasn't cruelty or coldness. It was just the sound of someone saving their energy for themselves instead of spending it on a battle already lost. She'd expected fire and got ice. But ice doesn't react, doesn't burn. It just is. And in being nothing, it became everything she couldn't manipulate. The power dynamic hadn't shifted because I'd seized control. It had shifted because I'd let go of the need to control anything at all. 3 months later, I was settled in Denver. New apartment, new routine, new life. Rachel and I had become actual friends, the kind who could sit in comfortable silence or talk for hours depending on the mood. One evening, over drinks at our usual spot, she asked me something unexpected. Do you ever regret how you handled things? With your ex? I thought about it, really thought about it. No. Really? No part of you wishes you'd done it differently. Maybe in another version of this, I would have yelled and cried and made a scene. And maybe in that version, we would have had some dramatic reconciliation or some cathartic final fight. But I don't think I'd be here right now, feeling like this. Feeling like what? Okay. Just genuinely okay. She smiled at that. That's a pretty good place to be. Yeah, it is. My phone buzzed on the table between us. Unknown number, but the message preview was familiar. I heard you moved. I hope you're doing well. I'm seeing someone new, someone who. I deleted it without reading the rest. Rachel raised an eyebrow. Her. Yep. You're not going to read it? Nope. Cold. Practical. She laughed, and we ordered another round. Later that night, walking back to my apartment through Denver's cool evening air, I realized something. The story everyone wants when a relationship ends is revenge or redemption. The cheater suffers, the victim triumphs, justice is served. But real life doesn't work that way. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just walk away and mean it. No grand gestures, no final confrontations. Just the quiet dignity of someone who knows their worth and refuses to devalue it by fighting for scraps. Claire had wanted a reaction because reactions meant she still mattered. My silence had told her everything she needed to know. Not that I didn't care, but that I cared more about myself than I cared about punishing her. And that was something she couldn't fight against or manipulate or turn around on me. It was just the truth, clean and simple and final. I got to my building, took the elevator up, unlocked my door. The apartment was small but mine. Every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall, every book on the shelf. Mine. Not ours, not a compromise, not a memory. Just mine. I made tea, settled onto the couch, and opened my laptop. Tomorrow I had a meeting with a potential client. Next week I had plans to go hiking with Rachel and some people from work. Next month, who knew? The future was open, unwritten, full of possibility. And I was ready for it. Not because I'd healed from what Claire had done, but because I'd finally understood that her actions said everything about her and nothing about me. My worth wasn't determined by her choices. My happiness wasn't contingent on her regret. My life was mine to build, brick by brick, day by day. And that silence I'd offered her in our kitchen that night, it wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning.